Hello and welcome to Theta Sigma's Doctor Who podcast number 60. This week, following your feedback, we're starting a mini-series looking at some of the Doctor's new companions, as introduced by Big Finish. First up, it's the turn of new 6th Doctor companion Doctor Evelyn Smythe, as played by Maggie Stables. And as you'll see, Evelyn takes no prisoners where the 6th Doctor is concerned.
Terrific. The ideal place for you to recover from your cold. It's wet, it's foggy, and it definitely isn't the Galapagos Islands. Probably in the middle of post-apocalypse Bromsgrove in the 95th century, if this is Earth at all.
This week's feedback comes from Luke Hatherall, Megan Laughlin, and I hope I pronounced that right, and Michael Doyle.
Come here, you scrumptious little beauty. A box?
Doctor, what is it?
I've got mail.
Luke Hatherall said, "As I'm not a big audio drama listener, I just have some general comments on Theta Sigma's Doctor Who podcast. This show is brilliant. I've always considered myself to be a massive Whovian, and listening to this show I feel I'm an even better one. The facts I've learnt from this show are absolutely outstanding, and the way the podcast is delivered is truly amazing. I want to thank Theta Sigma for providing me with weekly Whovian greatness. Keep doing what you're doing." Thanks for your comments, Luke. I know we shared a few inbox exchanges a while ago, and I'm very grateful for your positive comments and thoughts about the show. Megan followed that up with her thoughts on last week's show, saying, "I enjoyed this podcast. Romana is one of my favourite companions." Thanks again, Megan. I must admit I like Romana as well. I wouldn't say she was my favourite, but certainly she's up there with the greatest of them. Said Michael Doyle, "Another good show. As usual, you've showcased how woefully behind I am on the audio stories. I really did like the change of character for Romana. It does make sense after the key to time. Like a snake shedding its skin, it's time for a new Romana. This Romana was a more experienced one. Also, Lalla Ward seemed to have a more athletic take to the character. I'd like to see what the new series would do with her, even if it were at least just a reference. Lalla Ward did a good job in the role. I guess her real-life relationship did help the chemistry on screen as well. It was interesting to hear how much work she's done too. Quite an accomplished actress." Thanks all for your feedback, and as ever, if you have anything you'd like to say about the show, or any given week's topic, I'd love to hear from you, either at respectthething@outlook.com, or on Theta Sigma's Doctor Who podcast on Facebook. And I just want to remind you too, that the podcast is now available on YouTube. With two exceptions, almost all of the shows are now available there, and I'm hoping to get those that aren't there yet on there this coming week. You may notice a couple of shows missing, and regular listeners will notice that these are cut-down versions of the show, and that's mainly for YouTube's copyright reasons. So for those that would like to find out how it all started, or if you just need to catch up on shows that you've not heard, why not get yourselves on YouTube and search Theta Sigma's Doctor Who podcast. But for now, on with this week's show. Since starting his Big Finish audio adventures, the Doctor has met several new companions, and over the next few weeks we're going to be taking a look at some of them, starting this week with university lecturer Doctor Evelyn Smythe, as played by Maggie Stables.
Anyone would think you travelled in a cocktail shaker, not a police box. What was that we went through?
Maggie Stables is a British actress who plays Evelyn Smythe in a range of the Doctor Who audio dramas from Big Finish Productions. Stables turned to acting as a second career after retiring from a long-held position as a French teacher. After some experience in musical theatre, in 1991 she took a part in a production of Jane Eyre with Nicholas Briggs. This led to Briggs later casting Stables as Roughly in Big Finish's first Doctor Who audio The Sirens of Time, and then as Dr. Evelyn Smythe the following year. Stables has appeared in several Big Finish audio roles beyond Evelyn. In addition to Roughly, Stables appeared in Zagreus as the Great Mother, in Sarah Jane Smith, The TAO Connection as Mrs. Lythe, and the Bernice Summerfield audio drama Just War as Ma Doris. She also portrayed Evelyn in the webcast Doctor Who story Real Time. Illustrations of Evelyn in the Real Time webcast, as well as on Big Finish audio CD covers, are modelled on Maggie Stables herself.
Evelyn Smythe, delighted to meet you.
The pleasure's mine, Miss Smythe. Or is it Mrs. Smythe?
It's Dr. Smythe, actually, but you don't have to call me that.
Dr. Evelyn Smythe is a professor of history from the 20th century with a fondness for chocolate. She's a companion of the Sixth Doctor. Evelyn first appeared in the play The Murrian Conspiracy, when the Sixth Doctor found her while searching for a temporal nexus point. Travelling with the Doctor back to 1554, she became involved with the turmoil surrounding the reign of Queen Mary, which would soon give way to that of her half-sister Elizabeth. At the end of that adventure, she insisted on accompanying the Doctor further, because as a historian the chance to travel in a time machine had become irresistible. Evelyn was 55 when she began travelling with the Doctor. Being more mature than most of the Doctor's other companions, she was more than a match for the more abrasive Sixth Doctor, often questioning his decisions and even counselling him on them. In turn, the Sixth Doctor recognised Evelyn's wisdom and ability and respected her advice. But their relationship wasn't always smooth. Evelyn had a heart condition which she kept secret from the Doctor, fearing that he would return her home if he found out. She also blamed the Doctor for his inability to save a young woman named Cassie in the adventure Project Lazarus, something the Seventh Doctor said she never forgave him for, even when she parted from him. While visiting the planet Villarg and helping repel an alien invasion by the Kilorans, Evelyn met and fell in love with Governor Rossiter, who eventually became the political head of the Union of Three Nations. When she and the Doctor returned a year later, Evelyn decided to stay and marry Rossiter. She subsequently became involved in the politics of Villarg and underwent surgery for her heart. The surgery, however, didn't actually correct her heart condition. Without her knowledge, she was injected during the surgery with blood extracted from Kiloran prisoners. The infusion disguised Evelyn's heart condition, but also caused her to suffer from headaches, increased aggressiveness and irritability. 2 years later, the Sixth Doctor brought his then new companion Mel to visit Evelyn on Villarg. During their visit, Evelyn was kidnapped by a political enemy, and during that ordeal she became seriously ill as a result of the Kiloran blood in her system. With the Doctor's aid, Rossiter's daughter Sophia, a physician, corrected the effects of the Kiloran blood. During her recovery, Evelyn was secretly paid a visit by the Seventh Doctor as well. The Seventh Doctor wanted to tell Evelyn that Cassie's son, Hex, was now travelling with him, and assured her that some good had come out of that tragedy after all. But more of Hex's story in next week's show. While Evelyn continues to appear alongside the Sixth Doctor in new audio releases set before her departure, the end of her life is chronicled in A Death in the Family. A decade after her husband Rossiter died, Evelyn took part in an archaeological dig of alien technology, which resulted in her being accidentally transported to a planet called Pelican, billions of years in the past. A few years later, Hex is dropped off on Pelican after the Seventh Doctor dies fighting a pan-dimensional enemy. Evelyn takes Hex in for several months and tells him all about his mother, Cassie. The Doctor's other companion, Ace, manages to resurrect the Doctor, and he travels to Pelican on the day that Evelyn dies of a heart attack. With her consent, he traps the pan-dimensional entity known as the Nobody No One in her mind, and they die together. In Instruments of Darkness, it was stated that the Doctor did eventually bring Evelyn back to Earth, albeit 10 years before she actually left, forcing her to lie low so as not to interfere with the life of her younger self. At the end of the novel Instruments, the Doctor, at this point travelling with Mel, agreed to take Evelyn back to her proper time, and to take the scenic route, implying further adventures. Evelyn also appeared in the webcast 6th Doctor story Real Time, which ended on a cliffhanger where Evelyn was infected by a technovirus that would eventually turn her into the Cybermen's cyber controller and infect the Earth in 1927. The story was produced for the BBC website by Big Finish, but due to BBC moving its webcast production in-house, it's unlikely that that cliffhanger will ever be resolved. Big Finish producer Gary Russell, who wrote the story, has also stated that he has no firm plans for continuing the story, and it should, for the moment at least, be regarded as unofficial. Real Time has, however, been released on CD by Big Finish, so leaves an unresolved contradiction within the Big Finish universe regarding Evelyn's eventual fate between Real Time and a death in the family.
Oh, goodbye, my dear chap. I must say I've had the time of my lives.
And that's it for this week. As always, my thanks for listening, and I'd love to know what you think of the show. If you have any thoughts on Dr. Evelyn Smythe or the show in general, you can email me at respectthething@outlook.com or message me on Theta Sigma's Doctor Who podcast on Facebook. Next week we look at 7th Doctor audio companion Hex, and if you thought that New Era television Doctor Who was timey-wimey, thank you for listening to Theta Sigma's Doctor Who podcast. Doctor Who and its associated shows are all copyright and property of the BBC, and no infringement is intended.